All right, everybody. Hey, this is Steve Roessler with Drive Centric. Some of you know me as the Live with Drive guy, and I'm excited to have another opportunity to go out there and do Facebook Live because we know how to do it now from Zoom to go ahead and educate really everybody that's able to jump on here and learn about how to engage customers in today's marketplace. Now, I don't want to state the obvious. We all know it's a hard time right now. And there's an art to how we need to engage customers and how to change the persona of our dealership, or maybe how we talk to our dealerships as a vendor. So I know that there are some vendors on here, so I hope everybody can take something away from this on how we can collectively all come together, which we're all saying, and find that common ground with each and every customer. And we are going to get out of this. And so this is going to be a positive thing for us to all implement for the future. So the first thing I want to make sure for all the dealers out there that are looking to obviously, sell some cars during this time, and given the situation, with all the stay at home and the shelter in place, if you are not able to sell cars right now, listen to your state laws. So hopefully they will be lifted and you can help customers out, because this is a time where customers are out there looking for cars, but we all know it's a hard time, right? I mean, I don't even want to turn on the news anymore, and I try not to talk about, what's going on. I think that this is an opportunity to really change. I know we're listening to a lot of webinars out there, and just let's put ourselves in the customer's shoes for once. This is an opportunity where we can find common ground. We're all in this together. That includes the customers, but we need to talk to them appropriately given the situation. And that's what we're going to cover today, because customers are still looking. I think we can all agree at your dealership, you are getting internet leads. You are talking to customers every single day. Maybe not as many, but these are quality leads that are coming in. So we have to address them as such. And when we're talking about the conversations, I want you to take a look in your CRM specifically, because that's what I wanted to do. I was working with some consultants, some OEMs in different regions, and we were going out there and we were analyzing the conversations, because with all this pandemic and stuff going around, it's important to know, what are the customers talking about the pandemic or not during the shopping process? That's what I want to make sure during the shopping process. So at Drive Centric, being a CRM, we were able to go out there and pull out certain words. We looked at COVID, we looked at the word virus, and we looked at the word corona. Now, in mid-March, when this pandemic was coming up, we want to take a look at mid-March, the March 16th through the 18th, just to kind of see what's going on out there. So we looked at 3,700 conversations, and I want you to think about how many customers were talking about the pandemic, virus, things of that nature. I think we would all be surprised, including myself, that 6% of the customers in mid-March were talking about it. So a lot of dealerships and OEMs are saying, well, Steve, let's take a look at the following week. Well, so we did, and we actually looked at more dealerships and more conversations. Now, 1 week after, do we think it went up or it went down? Well, psychologically, we would think it would go up, but would you believe it stayed flat? It actually 5% of the customers, including going back and forth to the dealership, we talked about the pandemic. Now, the last week of the month, March 30th through April 3rd, what do we think happened again in these conversations? And you see 6,200 conversations were looked at. And I think we would all be shocked, even at like a peak where, it's gotten really bad, 7.6. So a lot of customers, if we just kind of think about what is going on when people are shopping, it's almost like the way I look at it is an escape. I'm shopping for a car. I want to talk about, the deals that are going on right now. And I want to talk about how I can get a car right now today. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't talk about the precautions we need to do. I'm talking about when you get that internet lead and you're doing everything in between, let's help the customer during this time. When the customer schedules the appointment, I think it makes sense then, okay, let's talk about all the precautionary ways we need to help this customer understand where they're at during this pandemic. So I can't stress more enough. This is about the quality and the word tracks you're using, more importantly now than ever, because these leads are buying. And so you may not be getting as many of them. So we have to look at making sure we say all the right things. And it's a great time now to take a step back as a manager, if you're on this call, and coach our people. And we're going to go through some examples like that. So first and foremost, that's kind of like a nice, introduction of what we want to try to cover. But through this presentation, let's talk about the customers today. And we're going to get some take-home points that you can use at your dealership or even at your company to kind of really think about and keep in front of us how to talk to customers. But we have to understand their level of concern, okay, given this pandemic. And like I said, we'll first illustrate that. And then last but not least is we have some stores that were able to basically let me share what they are doing. I have a store that we're working with at DriveCentric up in Oregon. And I want to thank specifically the Capital Auto Group for allowing me to share what they were doing, because they were the first ones start working remotely and doing videos, communication, and all these things. So for other dealerships who are going through this, you guys can take some lessons back to your dealership. But at the end of this, I think we can all agree that processes are going to alter. And this is what we have to think about is, given this pandemic, how can we get better and help serve the customer, give them a better buying experience? So this is only going to help our businesses for the future. So the first thing I want to talk about is, for those of you who know me, I have been in the car industry now for 5 years. I came from the medical industry for 16 years. And one of the things I'm always trying to think about is, okay, let's think about the customer. When I was in the medical industry, I was in the pain side, and I think we could all agree that we could associate, if you went to your doctor for pain, the doctor would ask you, okay, where's your pain on a scale of 0 to 10? And I thought that this was kind of relevant for maybe where we're at today during this whole pandemic to find that common ground with the customer. So we created what we call a virus assessment tool. Okay, and I want to think about this, and I'll spend a little bit of time on this, because how we talk to the customer during this pandemic, like I said, is critical. So let's talk about a customer. If we say, hey, Mr. Customer, we send this to the customer and say, where are you at during this whole pandemic? Maybe they tell you you're level 5. What we need to do is address the customer as if they're a level 7 customer. So we want to be more cautious than the customer. What we don't want to do is treat a level 5 customer and say, oh, you could come in this whole pandemic. We have no virus here at our dealership. We don't want to say that, obviously, okay? So let's treat the customers 2 steps higher than where the customer is at. Okay, so this is a really good tool. We actually have this on our DriveCentric website. You can actually download this and implement this for all of your salespeople, your BDCs, or even as a manager, to really keep this right in front. So again, what do we want to do is understand and build the customer experience and be empathetic, more importantly than ever during this time, which again, could change the whole persona and brand of your dealership. So people always ask me, well, Steve, let's put this into action, right? If I'm a manager on this call, how can I go in there and evaluate these conversations going on with my salespeople and my manager? So here's an example of a salesperson saying, hey, Sarah, I want to touch base with you and see what your day looks like tomorrow. I also have some time in the morning and again after 2 o'clock. What works for you? Respectfully, Sam. The customer replies back and says, well, I have some time to finish up in the office today. I also want to let this COVID-19 stuff settle down, go figure, before I make the trip down to the lot. Seems like a pretty logical response. So if you were to ask me, how would I rate this conversation and the customer? I would rate it a level 5 customer. I think there's an opportunity. I would just say the customer doesn't want to make the trip. Now, if the customer is in dire need looking for a car, we have to try to find out what is their need. So here would be maybe a response that we could celebrate this and take a different approach and be more empathetic in our communication. So the first thing I want to say is, I heard the customer. So I say, hey, I totally understand. However, did you know we offer home delivery? Maybe this customer doesn't know that you're offering home delivery. They haven't been on your website. They haven't seen the commercials. Put a little smiley face. We do take all the precautions to keep you safe. Acknowledge the fact that, hey, I want to make sure that you know we care about you and we're all in this together. Or would you rather contact you in 30 days or so? Your thoughts. Let's not miss out on these opportunities. This is going to be a pause maybe in our business, but we can't forget about these opportunities 30 days from now. We have to schedule follow-up in your CRM. Okay, so that's a really good conversation. I want you to really look at the engagement within your CRM and think about that, because these customers are talking to you remotely and we got to be able to track these customers. Now, here's another one. Okay, this customer says, hello, Jennifer, my mom has now changed her mind in co-signing. She's worried about the economy right now and thinks it's a wise choice for me to not to buy a new vehicle at this time. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. Well, don't be sorry. I mean, again, we know this pandemic is affecting a lot of people and a lot of jobs. And now the customer may want to buy the car, but we know the co-signer is going to be a big part of this. So if I was to go out there and look at this customer, I would give it a level 9 customer, because we know we got some work to do with the co-signer part of it. But I want to pay attention to the response. The response that the salesperson said here says, okay, I understand. Keep in touch and stay safe out there. Give me a holler when you're ready. And the customer says, most definitely, you too. Now, I want to focus on how we typically reply to customers, because I do see this in the CRM quite a bit, where what are we saying here? Give me a holler when you're ready. I never want to put the fate in the hands of the customer. It's our job as salespeople to follow up. So I want to focus on that comment right there and say, how can we reply differently? Let's take away that comment and let's say, hey, is it okay if I text you in 30 days or so? Cool. That would be kind of Steve language right there. I'll text you in 30 days. Let the customer know what the expectation is. I'll check back in 30 days is what you're saying. Could we get the same response? And then in your CRM, schedule that follow-up appropriately for 30 days. Maybe it's 3 weeks and you're doing a check-in. How's the family doing? Okay, so again, things to think about so we don't miss out on these opportunities for the future. So we do have to realize, just like in that previous conversation, obviously, what is going on in the market. And we are affected, obviously, in the auto space. But as of April 2nd, there were 6.6 million people that filed unemployment. So we have to acknowledge that this is a dynamic that is going on, and we have to be cognizant and sympathetic towards the customer. Now, these customers, if we go out there and understand where they work at, what they're doing, what do we do to get to know the customer? I mean, if I talk to a doctor right now in the industry, they're going to be pretty busy right now. I think we would all agree to that. If you're talking to a waiter or waitress, they probably are going to need a co-signer if they're having car problems. Okay. So, and they could be out of a job. So we have to take a step back and, more importantly, focus on the customer. We're not getting as many leads. What do we know about each and every customer? And that's what we're going to focus on a little bit right here, because the tools of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, I don't have to be connected on LinkedIn to understand where the customer works at or doesn't work at. You could go to Facebook and find out if they have 3 kids. No wonder why they want third row seating. What do we do to get to know the customer? If they have 3 kids during this pandemic, obviously I'm going to have a little bit more of a different approach to those customers during this time. This customer probably working from home because they work at Boeing. So again, these are things we really need to do a better job of in automotive to find common ground with these customers. We're not getting as many leads. Let's focus on the customer. Okay. So now I want to talk about communication strategies. And anybody that knows me knows that texting is the future of communication. I mean, besides all the social media stuff, but emailing is emailing, phone calls, who picks up the phone. But I want to focus, if you're not texting in your current CRM or texting your customers, you need to start doing that today. And we're going to prove that as we move forward. But I want you just to take back and celebrate what texting does from an engagement perspective. This is all on Google, and this is where I got the data from. The speed of an open of a text, this is what you need to celebrate, is less than 3 minutes. If I text you, you're going to get it within 3 minutes, because I bet you right now, you could be texting on your phone right now instead of listening to me, which that's okay, all right? But the average reply time for you to reply back to my text is 90 seconds. 90 seconds. You can't beat that with a stick on email. So if we can engage customers and make sure we don't lose their attention, we have to know that that communication is key to continue back and forth with each and every customer. Now, to illustrate what I mean by that from a timing perspective, let's look at a communication thread that was happening via text. Now, I didn't show the full thread of communication that was going on in this particular deal, but I want you to know they were going back and forth maybe 20, 30 times going back and forth via text. What I would like to focus on, though, is the last text from the customer was at 5:51 to the salesperson at this dealership. There is about an hour gap. And look what happens when we make the customer wait. The customer says, okay, forget it. So if you don't know on customers that are waiting for a reply right now, you are missing out on opportunities. It is our job to make sure the digital retailing world, our customers shopping from home. Doesn't mean they're shopping so much on the website using all these digital retailing tools that we know of. You could do this all within your CRM and communication. The digital showroom and digital retailing are customers that you can sell a car to, just not from the dealership. So we have to make sure what digital retailing is. And responding back to your customers like this is a form of digital retailing. Now, what we did at DriveCentric was, to really illustrate the importance of texting inside the CRM, we looked at 400 internet leads that delivered cars. And what we wanted to look at and measure is what is the text to email ratio of these delivered cars. I don't think it would surprise any one of us. Actually, it surprised me that it was 2 to 1. I would have actually thought it would have been higher than that. Okay, so but 2 to 1 shows you that we did twice as many texts as we did emails. Text to phone, 9 to 1. That's what the data is. And then where we delivered more than one text, so the customer opted in with me with texting, almost 70% of those opportunities had more than one text on those deals. So I want to make sure I drive the point home that texting is a major form of communication for you and your customers to deliver these cars. Now, anybody that's using CRM out there in automotive, I want to make sure you do realize that not only is texting important to you and your business, but the OEMs have acknowledged the fact that texting with certain CRMs like DriveCentric is a clock stopper. Okay, I don't like to use the word clock stopper, but I know in the automotive dealership world, that's what you and on the internet department care about. So other CRMs as well acknowledge this as well. So if you're not on Drive, check with your CRM provider or check with your OEM to make sure that they acknowledge texting in your CRM back to the OEM as a form of engagement. Now I'm going to go into the meat and potatoes and show you some live examples on some of these communication strategies like texting. So I want to first take a look at this lead. The gentleman's name is Calvin. I want to make sure you all realize one thing about Calvin. Calvin, this is a store in Salem, Oregon. The customer lives in Portland. So if you don't know the distance from Portland to Salem, it's about an hour drive. Okay, during this pandemic, okay, customer sends in a Kelley Blue Book lead. Now, the thing that I want to make sure that we do first, and again, I'm pretending that this was my lead. One of the things I would do is research Calvin. So I looked at LinkedIn and I looked at Facebook, and I could see he's an emergency department technician. So I probably bet he's pretty busy. His time's valuable. He looks pretty young, probably a texter. If you go look at the millennials and Gen Zs, they're texting more than picking up the phone. Okay, that would be my assumption by researching the customer. Now, what the BDC person at Capital Auto Group did, Shelby, she reached out, she called the customer and actually got engagement over the phone. What I'd like each and every one of you to do, and this is a call tracking that we have in DriveCentric using third-party providers where we could track the call tracking. Now, I want you to listen to the word tracks Shelby does to earn the right to give the customer the experience of texting. Let's listen to this.
I was trying to get a value for my trade-in, and I didn't want to drive all the way down there and then just have it not work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can absolutely do that. Do you mind if I send you a text message?
No, that'd be good.
Okay, perfect. It's going to ask you to respond with yes. It's just so we can communicate. If you want to send me a couple pictures along with the VIN and the mileage on the vehicle, we can definitely do a lot of this over the phone. So yeah, there's no problem with doing that.
Okay.
Okay, if you're a BDC, if you're a general manager, general sales manager, these are the word tracks that we need to do to lay out the expectations on how we're going to talk to the customer, especially during this time and potentially for the future, okay? Great word tracks. And by the way, this recording will be put on our DriveCentric website. You can download this so you guys can all educate. But let's take a look now, more importantly, of the activity. So there's the phone conversation from Shelby with the text opt-in. Now let's look, and I want you all to count the communication going on via text. Now the customer does what? Well, he sends pictures of the truck, which again, we laid out the expectations, sends over pictures of the truck, the VIN, and obviously there's going to be communication going back and forth. Part of what we do in digital retailing now that you can do is do what? Well, send it to your used car manager so they could do an actual trade appraisal and send that texting to the customer. We're obviously going back and forth, and now we're going to desk a deal. Look at there. We're sending out proposals to this customer, working the deal just like what we did, going back and forth with each and every customer. And now you can see at the very end of all this, we're going to be done with texting. Did anybody count how many text messages were going back and forth? I'm a speed person, so I can tell you that there was 44 texts to 2 phone calls. We delivered this car within 3 days. And again, the customer lived an hour away from the dealership during this pandemic. What do we talk about? Well, we talk about customer experience, and we got to make it easier for the customer. It doesn't get any easier than what you just saw. And I guarantee if you start communicating on the customer's terms and investigating these customers in one thread of your communication, like what you see right here, the customer replies back to Ishmael, I understand. I wanted to give you my business because you took the time and the effort. You can go in there and analyze your communication each and every day, whether it's a phone call recording, whether it's a text, whether it's an email, a response to a video. You're going to know when you could sell a customer, when you deliver an experience and you can physically see it in your communication. So celebrate these types of moments with your salespeople, with your BDC, because that's how you're going to earn more business. So we're talking about communication via text, but during this whole pandemic, obviously we have people that are working from home. You probably have a skeleton crew maybe at your dealership, but yet you don't today, you might hear very soon. So I want you to think about proactive things that you can do to communicate with your sales staff remotely. So I've talked to several dealerships across the country that are doing this. And one of the things that they're using are group emails and group text. Now, I'm not opposed to those forms of communication to close the loop. The problem that I have with it that dealerships have acknowledged is we lose track of the communication because obviously you're already texting and you're doing group emails within your staff or from vendors and things of that nature. So I want you to realize that there is technology within your CRM. At DriveCentric, you have the ability to mention to salespeople, to managers, to BDC on what's going on with this deal. And other CRMs, to be fair, have this technology. Now, if your CRM does not have this technology, I would highly recommend looking at tools like Slack or Workplace by Facebook. Separate your communication so you know when you're communicating with your staff remotely that it's a separate communication tool that you're working deals for specific customers on those platforms. So let me give you an example of what that would look like. Now, this is in DriveCentric where Ishmael and Shelby are talking back and forth, and I'll just scroll right there. Ishmael says, hey, at Shelby, do we have the vehicles she wants? She replies back, she wants to look at all the trim levels. We have the Corona hatchback, and Ishmael replies back, well, she's not looking at coming in today. Family came up. And look, that was on Friday, and on Monday, she replies back via text, hey, do you have time today for an appointment to test drive some vehicles? How cool is that? So at least there's communication going on about this deal. And again, help close the loop, more importantly, because again, every opportunity is a true opportunity with today's market. So now, who's shooting video? All right. So video is very important. If you've known me for a long time, video is king. Okay. I shoot video. I'm on video right now for a reason, because you can hear my tone, you can see my body language, and you can hear my words. Okay. And you see my hair, right? Okay. So video is king. Now, if you weren't shooting video, let me show you a stat that should entice you to shoot video. Just last week, I saw this on Facebook when I was doing some research on video. Would you believe that the number of Facebook Live viewers, because I am live on Facebook right now, has increased from February to March 50%? 50%. You know what that tells me? A lot of people are bored out there. So if you want to start communicating with video and bringing the car to the customer, and we know if you've seen any of my video presentations, video is helping sell cars. You need to bring the customer the car remotely these days, and video can, quite frankly, do that easily. And it's a great communication tool. So let me show you what is happening at Capital Toyota up there in the Northwest. So this is Josh working from home. The thing I love about Josh working from home is he's dressed, right? You know, he's obviously in a tie, he's looking professional, and he's out there talking to the customer and sending videos. Now, the customer opened it twice and watched the video once, but let's listen to what he says here.
Hey Hunter, Josh here at Capital Toyota. I just wanted to reach out to you so you could put a face to the name. I appreciate you taking my phone call, and I do look forward to helping you find your next truck. We do have some awesome incentives going on as well that you'll be a part of. So I will confirm with you on Monday just to make sure that Wednesday still works, and we'll get together soon. Have a great day.
So real good introductory video that I would expect from an internet lead, right? That's how we do an introduction video. Now, he's obviously working from home. So what would we like to do? Because we have a skeleton crew at the dealership, he communicated to David, who's at the dealership, to do what? Show the car, because this customer was getting to be scheduled an appointment. So he's showing him that the car is available. And let's listen to the word tracks David uses on this video.
Hey Hunter, my name is David at Capital Toyota. Josh and I work together. He told me to send you an email, a video on this Tacoma.
So the thing that I want to point out on this is he's closing the loop by talking to the customer and saying, Josh and I work together. I want to think about how your dealership is running today. And this is where you guys can work collectively as a team, more importantly than ever. And again, this is changing the culture of your dealership when you guys can communicate from BDC to sales, because we know sometimes that's a rub. And this is a great time to work together and communicate to satisfy a customer's need during this time. So, but that's the thing is, hey, I don't want you to think I'm taking over for Josh. Josh and I work together. Great way to set the customer's expectations so they don't forget who's who in the zoo here, okay? So the other thing video can do, because if you have a level, let's say 9 customer, 10 customer that doesn't want to leave their house, let's do a virtual test drive video. Let's listen to what Josh does at Capital Toyota.
How's it going, Wes? I got Chandler. He's going to be the one helping me with this. We're going on a little test drive. I want to go ahead and show you as far as with the backup camera, how it works and everything. So he's going to start backing up with me. There we go as we leave the parking lot. Now I am going to pause the video for a second, and when we get out on the road, I'm going to start it right back up. So hold tight with me. So now what we're doing here is, so you can hear the motor and everything, we're going to take it out to the interstate here as we're driving down the road, but we'll be quiet for here just a little bit so you can kind of hear everything. So here you go.
So what a great opportunity. I know we have videos on our website, and those are all canned videos. They're great. But the thing is we're saying the customer's name. And that's what we all care about. We want to know that, hey, we're humanizing the car buying experience, and video is showing that I'm a person. I care about you. I can, talk to you and have empathy towards you during this time. So I'll be more than happy to give you a test drive. Let me jump in the car and do that. Let's take the time more now than ever. Because again, every opportunity is what? Critical. So when it comes to shoot videos, everybody always asks, hey, Steve, well, what are all the reasons to shoot video? If you're going to take a picture and celebrate this, or you're going to download this eventually, I want you to kind of think about all the reasons you can send video during this time. I think right now, if you go out there and you're mining your CRM and you're looking at customers coming up on a lease, how are you going to educate your customers about options? Do you want to buy out your lease, or can we potentially put you in a new one? Let's communicate those options through video. Birthday videos. Would it be nice to get a birthday video during this time? It lightens the mood, okay? So take a picture of this and let's celebrate on how you can implement video at your dealership and, again, humanize the car buying experience. This is the opportunity to change the dynamic, the brand of your dealership versus your competitors. So the last and not least, I don't want to not cover today, because we all know there's been a lot of digital retailing webinars going on. And obviously we know website traffic is up because everybody's at home. So you probably have some sort of conquest tool, whether it's with DriveCentric. We have what's called a hit list, but equity tools, website tools. You can track customers that are on your website. How are you going to engage a customer that's on your website? Because a customer that's on your website, people, they're not looking for pizza, okay? So this is an opportunity to train our salespeople, BDC, whoever is going to call these customers, what would be the word tracks to call a customer that is on your website? So let's pretend here we got Janin, who was on the website a day ago. He's been on the website for almost 30 minutes and he's got a high intensity level. Okay, so that could be a serious buyer. But what we don't want to do is have your salespeople, BDC, do what? Hey, Jaden, I see you're on my website. Are you looking for a car? We don't want to do that approach. You're a creeper. What we want to do is say something softer. Again, we want to be empathetic during this time. So whether you send an email, you're texting the customer, sending a video, let's get some word tracks going here and saying, hey, Keaton, Joe here at the dealership. It's been a while. I just thought of you because they're in the dealership. Hope your family is safe. Acknowledge the time we're in. Okay, we're going through these crazy times. I thought there may be a good opportunity for you as manufacturers giving us the best programs I've seen in a long time on cars. If there's any, if I can help in any way discuss options, I'm always here for you. Be safe. Okay, it's a very soft approach to maybe get engagement, and who knows what could come from this. Okay, but we're surely not acknowledging the fact we know they're on the website. If we can acknowledge one thing we all say in the car business is timing is everything. If there's customers on your website, this is a great opportunity to, again, get your managers to work with salespeople to figure out how to talk to these customers. And hopefully these are some good word tracks you can implement. So I really do appreciate everybody jumping on here. I know there's a ton of webinars going on. But again, if anybody that knows who we are as an organization, we focus on engagement and we love talking about engagement strategies. So hopefully you do a better job with the less leads and opportunities you're getting. You know, you can take a step back. Let's research the customers. Customers, we all buy from people. It's a people business, but unfortunately we're always selling metal. But we have to make this a people business more now than ever before. Let's utilize these communication tools that are modern to all of us that we use every day. You got to take those personalized videos, take those opportunities. And again, the whole point is humanize the car buying experience more now than ever. Bring the car to them. Let's utilize and implement internal communication tools. Again, if you are working remotely, I highly advise you. Think about how you're going to put a plan together to communicate with your BDC person working remotely. How are we going to get a customer proposal when he's working remotely? We got to close the gap. Timing is everything. Okay. And last but not least, don't forget, look at those website opportunities with whatever conquest tool you're using and focus on some word tracks to do a better job, because timing is everything. So I really, really appreciate everybody taking the time. Again, everybody, communication is key no matter who you're talking to and how you talk to them. And this is the time to change that persona at your dealership. So if you have any questions, if you got any insight, please feel free to give me a call, text me, shoot me an email. Obviously, I prefer text. You PM me on Facebook. I know I'm Facebook Live, but I appreciate anybody's feedback. And if this is relevant to other dealerships that may have not participated, feel free to share this this Facebook Live feed to dealers that this may help, because I hope this is truly educational for everybody. Thanks again, and enjoy your Thursday, everybody.